Dharamdas became Gurumukh later when Kabir left his body. Then Dharamdas was giving Shabad or Naam. You see, once we need to understand these things. Shabd or Naam. In this tradition of Kabir and also in the system of Tantra, both emphasize that unless you receive the Naam, Shabad or Mantra from Guru, it has no power. That same word has no power to liberate you or give you any effect. This has been mentioned. Now this may be seen as something like a taboo or maybe a wrong practice. But as I always say, that this territory on which you walk, on which you try to find out that this world is not real, that you who think you are is also not real, it becomes really difficult for ordinary people, I would say, to even gauge their inefficiencies, their limitations. And in the system of Kabir, it is said that there are different ways to say the same thing. In system of Kabir, it is said that Kabir belongs to the fifth plane, which is Satlok. Okay, fifth plane, which is Satlok. And this loka in which we live, and the other two. Okay, the other two. There are three lokas, what we call triloki, right? Three lokas, three dimensions of existence. So these three dimensions of existence are ruled by, in his system, by Kala. By Kala. Kala means, literally it means time. Okay. And Kal is also said to be one of the son of Satpurush, Brahman, Shiva, whatever you call. We would say, in our system, probably the comparison would be like, it would, because it belongs to the Kanchukas in 36 Tattvas, right? Kala is a Kanchuka. And it is told that once you go beyond Kala, in this system it is said, once you go beyond Kala, then you are actually entering a domain of experience or the kingdom which is as per the plan of the original Satpurush. Okay, that means what? It has been told in a form of a story that the Kala, when he was separated from his father, okay, the Kala, when he was separated from his father, he could not bear that separation and he kind of became mad. Okay, that Kala became mad. And Kala was given this responsibility to create a loka as per the plan of Satpurush. He was supposed to create a heaven. It was ordained that he should create a heaven. He should create a place which is exactly the replica of the Garden of Eden. Understood? Where the original Satpurush resides. But out of his madness, and also, outlawness, because he became uncontrollable beyond. So what he did, he created, instead of Anuraga Sagar or Swarga, he created Bhavasagar. Okay. So instead of creating something very good, very nice, he created Bhavasagar. In everybody, in that, everybody suffers rather than feeling connected with the Satpurush, or being given that opportunity of getting connected with Satpurush. So the world which has been created by Kala is known as Bhavasagar. Okay. Bhavasagar. Now there are multiple systems which talk about Bhavasagar. In Hindu mythology it has been told. Even in Christian mythology it has been stated differently. Islam also talks about it. But here what we are saying is that in the system of chakras and kundalini also this Bhavasagar exists. This Bhavasagar is supposedly the area which is surrounding your Manipura chakra. Okay. And which means what? Unless you cross Bhavasagar, means unless you cross your basic instinct of security and sexuality, which belong to the lower two chakras, and reach here in the Manipur, where the fire of knowledge is somewhat ruling it, because it is representing fire. Fire's most subtle and most useful quality is light. And the light is that external entity in the real world. The light is that external entity which makes way for us, right? So when we cross Bhavasagar in the chakra system or in the system of Kundalini, we reach a place where from journey becomes a little easy. Okay, so this Bhavasagar is to be crossed. Now in this Bhavasagar itself, the Guru is there. Please understand. In this Bhavasagar, at the periphery of the Bhavasagar, there is another chakra which is called Guru Chakra. Now some people would say that Guru Chakra comes at Agya Chakra. But here there is a system in which the Guru Chakra is adjoining Bhavasagar, because if Guru is not available at Bhavasagar, where will he help? Beyond Manipur, anyways there is a journey and there is a possibility. Very easy, because you are on your launching pad. You are on your launching pad. Unless you reach your Manipura Chakra, that means you are devoid of all the animalistic instincts. Animalistic nature, the vrittis which keep you engaged in the lower two chakras, right? Once you reach the Manipura Chakra, it is said that you are on your launching pad. Now, here also there is a difference in different systems. Some people say that Manipura Chakra, after crossing Bhavasagar, when you reach Manipura Chakra, you are gifted with some light, some energy. But in another sense, in another system, this Manipura Chakra has been said to be the epicenter of fear. Okay, the perennial fear will grip you when you will reach this Manipura Chakra. And what is that fear? That fear of being lonely. Because as you cross Bhavasagar and reach Manipura Chakra, you find yourself alone there. You find there is no connection. Nothing connects you with the world. And in this loneliness, you become totally, completely and entrenched. And what happens then? You become fearful. Right? Here, when you become fearful, you want to get rid of this fear. You see, this fear is needed for growth. What happens when you are operating in lower two chakras and not crossed this Bhavasagar? It keeps you entangled in life. You never feel that there is any fear. Many times you forget that you are going to die. And most of people are forgetting that they are going to die and they are alone. They have come alone and they will go alone. Even this knowledge is not available when we are operating from lower two chakras. Please understand. So we feel well connected. We think we are surrounded by parivar. Parivar anyways I told you many times, parivar means only the literal meaning of parivar is the one which surrounds you. So parivar is the whole world for you. Your mitra mandali, your friend circle, your social circle, your official circle, whatever, your memories, your past, everything surrounds you. So everything is your parivar. You are surrounded by these things, correct? So those things which tie you up in knots, that is what you call parivar, but everything is a knot for you. You know, everyone is a knot for you, not K-N-O-T. Okay, and in another sense, when you realize everyone is a knot for you, N-O-T. Okay, big knot. There is no one other than me. Okay, just as in dream, when you are in dream, you become fearful of things as exactly as you are fearful in your waking state. Only you don't know that it is unreal. The unreality of this dream or this truth not being the real is known only when you wake up. Okay, when another state comes, this state tells you that it was a dream, it was not reality. Correct? But when you were in dream, suppose you were about to get married, you're riding a horse or what you call pony and going towards your destination, and suddenly few dacoits come and they started firing on your procession, what we call Bharat, and then you woke up. So you could not marry in your dream, right? So when you come in reality, so-called reality, waking, what happens? You say, oh, it was my dream. Right? Do you really cry for whatever destruction has happened in the dream? Whatever losses were incurred in your dream? Do you cry for the bridegroom lost in the dream when you become awake? You don't. Do you, suppose in that firing you die. Let's go to another step. Suppose in that firing you died. And you know the dream is broken only when it is tragic. The dream breaks only when it is tragic. No dream breaks unless it is tragic. The dream goes on and on and on, right? And the similar way, when we wake up without actually recognizing that what was my experience and what was the reality, we get engaged in another dream. Okay. Now this dream is more complex, more realistic, and we seemingly come back to this dream again and again, right? So these things are possible only when Guru is there and he shows you the way. That, you see, what you think is as reality is not real, and he has to show you the way to cross the Bhavasagar. Bhavasagar, right? And just think about it now. If you just cross your Bhavasagar, how many chakras remain? 5. 5 chakras. And Kabir is said to be operating from which floor? 5th floor. 5th chakra. That means Sahasrara. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Understand now? So when it is said that once you cross this Bhavasagar, you are in the terrain of the divine. Below that, you are not. The terrain of divine, the domain of divine, simply begins from Manipur Chakra. And therefore, in Hindu system, so much emphasis is given on Ram Ram. Okay. Ram means the Bij mantra of this chakra, very subtle. Those who cannot be given the Bij mantra of fire, which is very strong, they are offered another variant of the same mantra, Ram. Because Ram Bij or Rang Bij is for fire, Manipur Chakra. So, what are the variations? There are two possible pronunciations of this Bij mantra. One is called Rang in our tradition, which we use, and the second is Ram. Ram. What is Rang? Keep your mouth open. And second is close your mouth while you recite. So it becomes Rang, or when you close your mouth, it becomes Ram. And the next variation will be Rang. And when we close our mouth in this tradition, what will it become? It will become Ram. Okay. So the Bij mantra is Ram. And why Kabir is repeatedly talking of Ram? Just understand this now. This will shed some light. Why Kabir is saying Ram, Ram, Ram? Why he receives a mantra Ram from his Guru? It is said, I'll tell you, it is said that Kabir actually did not need a Guru. He was born enlightened. Okay. But it was and it is, although people do not care for this anymore, but it was and it is that tradition that a person who has not gone to a guru is never to be accepted as a teacher. Okay. So it was then also the similar things, the similar system was prevailing. So, and Kabir was finding it difficult to quieten his opposition. So he had to get a guru for himself. And it is said that Ramanand was liberated by Kabir rather than Ramanand giving Kabir liberation. Okay. So, and there is a story, there are multiple stories, but there is one story in which it is said that Kabir, of course, took the mantra from Ramananda and he took the form of a child. Child means maybe 10, 12 years of age, maybe 12, 14 years of the age. He took that form. He lay himself at the stairs of a ghat or the bank of the river where he knew that Ramanand goes regularly for the morning rituals, for the morning puja. So in that form, in the form of a child, he came under the feet of Ramanand and he immediately held him from his shoulders and asked him, "Koi chot to nahi lagi? Did you get hurt? Did you get hurt?" And then he said, "Ram Ram kaho." So he Ram Ram kaho, Ram Ram kaho. So he, in a way, when he said Ram Ram kaho, so he started saying Ram Ram. He said, "I have been initiated because he himself has told me Ram Ram kaho. So main Ram Ram kahunga." Now, later when he started telling others that Ramanand is my guru, nobody believed. Even Ramanand said, "I have never initiated Kabir. I have never initiated Kabir." Then Kabir went to his place. He said, "Call this fellow Kabir. I want to understand when did I initiate him." Okay. So it is said that Kabir was sitting just at the door of his puja room where he was actually worshipping. He was the idol worshipper. So he used to do all the panchopachara, shodashopachara, etc., etc. Offering flour, offering clothes, offering food, offering water, everything. So he would do that. So Kabir was sitting, and in between, on the door, there was a curtain. It is said that on the door, there was a curtain. What happened? He was worshipping his god, probably Rama, because he was only the Ram Bhakta. So, by mistake, he had placed the crown, the crown on the head of the idol. And then he realized that he has not put that garland, the mala, around his deity's neck. This was the situation. He had in his puja, he had placed the crown first, and then crown is big, and through that crown, the small diameter, the mala, is not getting in. Now he is confused, because if he takes away the crown, it is dishonor to the deity. So how do we do? He was confused. Being an old man, probably he could not think of it. But Kabir was sitting outside and he was not able to see Ramanand. Then from there he says, and when this confusion was going on in his head, from there he shouts, Gurudev, why are you so much worried? Just open the malas, open the knot of the mala and tie around the neck. That's it. You don't have to remove the crown. So he said, who is this? He said, Kabir. So he said, who Kabir? He said, I am your disciple. So he said, how do you know what I was thinking? Then he said, I know everything. Then when you know everything, why there is a curtain between you and me? Okay. So he removed the curtain. And thereafter, he still had doubts. And he said, how do you say you are my disciple? How do you say you are my disciple? I have never initiated you. Then he narrated that story that you stepped over a child at the banks of Ganges and you had said Ram Ram Kaho. So I took that mantra. But he said he was a child. You are such an adult. You seem to be, why you're faking it? He said, you want me to become a child? I can become that child again. When Kabir says so, then he is taken aback. He says, thank you. I accept you as my disciple. Okay. So this was the story about it. So from there he receives the Rama mantra from word Ram. Of course, this digression happened. But what I said was that in system of chakras, Guru resides just nearby the Bhavasagar. Okay. Because you need most of the help there. You don't need help beyond probably that much. Because beyond that, you have been blessed with some or the other form of light with you. Once you reach that chakra, you are blessed with some or the other form of light with you. And the next step itself is the oceanic love. The first is reaching there, and the second step becomes the oceanic love, which is heart chakra. So when you reach your heart chakra, that means when you become devoted to your practice, your tradition, your guru, your path, your mantra, your deity, or whatever, then you are able to transcend. Then your journey begins. Understand? So you have to be given what? You have to be given counseling by Guru while you are trying to cross Bhavasagar. This is the most critical part. Right? You understood now? And the fifth loka, Kabir, where he sits, from Bhavasagar onwards, if you count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth chakra is Sahasrara, the crown chakra. 2 below, 7 above. Okay? Understood? So these these worlds, this Bhavasagar is really non-existent. It has been created by Kala, only by Kala, and today scientists prove that the whole life which you see, the whole world which you perceive is dependent on the flow of time, right? If time does not move, then you will not see any change, okay? Or if you move fast enough, then the time stops, then the world will not change for you. And what is the attraction in this world, or what is the problem in this world? The problem or attraction both in this world are the pain and pleasure both of this world are attached to the change. When changes happen, they happen according to your desires, you call it sukha. Right? Right? And when they don't happen according to your desires, you call it dukkha. Okay? Now who will decide that this is dukkha or sukha? You decide yourself. Who else decides it for you? But the parameter on which dukkha and sukha are judged simply depend on the desire. Okay. The parameter of sukha or dukkha purely depends on what type of desire you had. Same thing, same event can give you sukha, and same event can give you dukkha. Right? Only factor which you create for yourself, the filter which you create, that is desire. Right? So when you desire, and with this desire, you start connecting with people, we start connecting with things, and you start calling them yours. They are not yours. So if you say that I have a parivar or I have a bajar, it is only because you think it is yours. Right? Otherwise, there is nothing which can bind you. The Bhavasagar will not exist. The Bhavasagar will not exist the moment you drop this notion of me, mine. Bhavasagar is not a real loka. Bhavasagar means that projection which because of time, the changes, the movie. Why I'm calling it movie? Because time makes things to move. Time makes things to move. And as they move, there is no problem in their movement. The movement continues, whether you are here or not. The movement will continue, whether you desire or not. You have born, you had no desire for this, probably not, because you don't know that you were born. When you don't know the event of your being born, this physical body, how can you say that there was a desire for it? No. Now, without your desire, you were born. And now you are desiring that you should not die, but you will die. So your desire does not matter anyways. Your desire does not matter anyways. In the first place, it is proved that your desire is non-existent in your birth. And then in your death, it is said that your desire is futile. So both things are proven that desire is a non-existent entity, number one. And number two, it is futile to have it. Because things happen without my desiring. Because when you were born, did you actually desire the sun to be rising from the east? But it rises. It is not your desire. Did you want the moon should wax and wane? You did not, but it does so. You wanted to remain a child, or maybe you wanted to grow fast, nothing happened. Even that was not honored. All the desires all the desires, at least most of them have failed. But still you think that no, I can continue to desire. Someday my desire will be fulfilled. This is the problem. And with these kind of exchanges, with the things happening by themselves, unrelated to you, you get entangled. This entanglement is the world which you create, which God has not created. God has created this world which grows and waxes and wanes. It rises and sets. It goes on like this. Like waves, it is rising, and like a wave, it falls back. But you, with your own desires, create a bhavasagar out of it. Right? You were born, no credit to your mother and father. Your child is born, no credit to you. Why? Because it is the way things go on. No credit to you. What is so much to take pride in it? It happens this way, and it continues like that, and you take ownership of this act. You make the product as your own, and then you suffer. Who will not suffer then? Thing which was not your own, you want to claim it as your own. It will repeatedly prove that you do not own it by this or that way. Now, the same child whom you own, when he is in his teens, he will start rebelling. And you'll say, how can he rebel? Then he will find somebody to be with against your wishes, of course. Or maybe you have a better choice in your head. No, it is not honored. Again, it is being told, see, you do not own me. And God forbid, if somebody's son dies someday, a daughter dies someday, whether it is a desire, it will again prove it was not yours. You did not have any control on it. It just happened. And it continues to happen, whatever has to happen. But here, we fall in the trap of desires and create a bhavasagar out of this interaction with time. The time is creating bhavasagar. Suppose time stops, everything stops the way it is. There is no bhavasagar. There is no bhavasagar. Because without time, there cannot be any movement. There cannot be any change. So understand why it is being told that time is the son of God who became mad. And now, one thing more, has been said in this system, that time has set very stringent rules. Very stringent rules, so that, like a king, he has set so stringent rules that those whom he rules over cannot get rid of it easily. Okay. So unless you go beyond time, you are trapped in the karma and karma. Right? You can't escape that. Time has given you this gift. Do karma and be my slave. Right? Do karma and be my slave. Now, in Gita, Krishna has told, Arjun says that I will drop all the karmas. I will take sannyas. Then Krishna tells, Arjun, you cannot drop the karma. Because karma is just happening. Just happening. You have to detach yourself from the karma. In what way? By dissociating yourself from the fruits of it. Because karmas are anyways happening. For example, you are breathing. You are breathing continuously. You are digesting things continuously. But you have not attached your desires to these. Now, if suppose, and this I must say, that suppose somebody's digestion is weak, will you say it is a sin to have a weak digestion? Sin, papa, because he has a weak digestion. It is a sin. You don't attach it to the sin or virtue, right? Punya or papa. Why? Because this is a karma with which he is not taking any ownership. He is neither doing it, nor he thinks that it is his karma. Therefore, one is free from the sin of indigestion. Another person produces lot of gas. It is a sin. How come? He says, this is not what I really intend. I don't know how it happens. I don't own it. And nobody owns it. Even you don't own it. Do you own your digestion? Do you own your everything which is happening in this body? You don't. But then you start owning. You own the process of reproduction. Now this is also happening. You don't have to do anything. It will anyways happen. So you own it. And then you own the product also. The world is created. The Bhavsagar is created. Right? So I'm just giving you one example. It is happening everywhere. Right? It is happening everywhere. And this so-called free will, which you notice as your own, and many people ask, is there any free will? Then the answer is yes and no. I'll tell you, the answer is yes and no. Why? Go back to your dream now. Go back to your dream. Did you have free will in your dream? You had free will, right? You had free will because somebody was attacking you and you had a free will to run away, right? You did run away. You did try to save your life. But when you woke up, you got to know and there was no other, there was no running, and there was no free will to run away. It was all false. Understand now a little bit?